All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Kernels. I'm Sam Bouwers, consultant for continuing education at the State Library of Iowa. And our guest on Kernels today is Josh Gerard, director at the Brooklyn Public Library in Brooklyn, Iowa, that very famous Brooklyn that we all know and love so well. Just kidding. We'll hear more about Brooklyn and what they're up to here in a sec, but not the Brooklyn you're maybe most familiar with. Kernels, to tell you a little bit about the series, is an ongoing series of short videos from the State Library of Iowa, each installment being a small pop, get it? A little nugget of professional development that gets right to the core of a library program, service, or methodology. We've got in-practice librarians like Josh discussing their work so that everyone can learn from what they've been up to. We've got them on our YouTube channel and in Iowa Learns, so watch them for credit or just for fun. Josh is here today to tell us about how the Brooklyn Public Library used ARPA funding, their ARPA grant, to start up an eGaming program that they've had a lot of success with. So, Josh, to kick us off, can you tell us a little bit about Brooklyn, Iowa?
Well, we're definitely much smaller than that other Brooklyn you might be familiar with. We're a population of about 1,400, but we've got it's chock full of families. Really, a strong sense of community is in this little town, and very recently, that community has been embraced through our library. And so we're happy to look for any and all involvement where we can serve them. And they have been so supportive and reached out, and
That's so exciting.
really been awesome.
About how many people? What's your population?
1,400.
Okay. And are you close to any major metro areas? Not too far from Iowa City, is that right?
We're smack in the middle between Des Moines and Iowa City, about 60 miles either direction. If you want a Starbucks, you're going to drive 45 minutes.
There you
That's
go.
if you want to buy if you want to go to Walmart, that's 25 minutes away.
How about McDonald's? How far am I going for a Big Mac?
You were going 25 minutes.
There you go. Yeah, so pretty rural.
Yeah.
And so I think when we chatted about this idea, you were initially saying you had not planned on using ARPA money for eGaming, but then your district consultant said maybe try this. So how did you what was your process to land there?
Yeah, I had an idea that maybe the ARPA money could be used for a couple different things, and then I found out that no, we wouldn't be able to use it for what I thought. And so Becky, I reached out to her and I'm like, please help me know what to do with this, because we're constantly in need of funding and I'm still very new as a library director. And so I'm really, just seeking advice and help in this way. And Becky said, well, why don't you do esports? And I'm like, for the library, I didn't even think that was possible. I didn't think that was something you could do, you could seek out. And she said, oh yeah, it's a big thing right now. And so then she suggested, and it struck me, that was the thing that kind of hooked me. She said, create a youth nook, a place where the kids, where teens would feel comfortable in coming, sitting down, and just having their space in your library. And I said, like, that might be really difficult because we have a very small library, very small. But just to create that place really stuck in my head. And so as we started to go through this process, get everything that we were going to need, we reshuffled around shelves, we carved out a space that is a youth nook area where they can be and have fun.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I assume you're not like, oh man, we have all this extra room. What should we do with it? Kind of situation in a rural community like that. That's usually not the case, but how exciting to be able to prioritize kids and teens in a town where I'm guessing they don't have that many spots to go hang out and chill.
Yeah. We've done a really good job of embracing the younger generation. Like the 0 through 8 is like, oh, you've got a space. You've had a space for years, and it's fun and it's active. But yeah, and it just so often happens, oh, well, you hit a certain age, well, there's going to be a gap until you hit adult, and then we'll remember you again. And so this was really like, oh yeah, so we've got the books for you, but now we've also got a space for you.
Yeah. So how did you organize your program? So you bought the stuff, but like, are you an e-gaming expert? How did you kind of get things
Well, I have
started?
played video games since
Okay.
the Nintendo, and I have loved video games. But as I got older, I just found myself playing them less and less and less.
It's funny how that happens,
I,
isn't it?
I,
All of a sudden it's like you have to do things like taxes and you
it
can't
makes me
like,
sad, but I get it. It's like, oh, okay, just other things going on. But I'm also raising 4 children, one of which who the last couple of years has really gotten into esports. So I had some idea of what was going on. And so when he heard that this opportunity might arrive, he was just like, yes, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. I'm like, okay, just another reason to make it happen. So we did all the research for what we would need. We got a video projector, which we didn't have. We got a Nintendo Switch. We got all the necessary controls. We got the games. We got the charging docks. Because I was very glad to have more knowledgeable people than I that were helping me put this together in a way that is like, oh, you're going to need, you can't just buy the system. You got to have the system plus all the stuff that helps make the system work. And then Becky said, she goes, focus on games that, yes, obviously, that have esports potential, because esports is this big thing now that colleges are offering scholarships for, which is something, again, only this last year I even knew. And I'm so sad that I did not get to take that opportunity when I was going to college back then. No, but that's a thing now. And so focus on those kind of games that provide unique opportunities. And then also do games that are active. So I can play this one game called Ring Fit Adventure that it feels like a full-fledged workout when you're competing with other people. Like, it really gets the blood pumping. And so there are active games and there are very competitive games. And so how it works is, depending on the game, like if it's Super Smash Brothers Brawl, we will set up bracket style tournament. So it'll be 1v1, 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 and they'll, whoever wins on that one goes on to the next one. But because I'm also a big fan of the underdogs, we have an underdog bracket. And so if you get eliminated, you get a chance at redemption. You get a chance to come back. And so we go through this whole thing until there's just one person left standing. And that's if it's a bracket style game. There are several games that are even easier because they just assign points. And so we'll play a series of games that are points based. Whoever has the most points at the end, they win.
And how often are you doing these tournaments?
We started the first Tuesday in June. I believe it was June 6th of this year. And we have not missed a Tuesday since. Every Tuesday, right? During the summer, it was every Tuesday, 4:00. And then as soon as school started, it became every Tuesday right after school. And we will be taking a hiatus here in the coldest part of winter, but then we'll be right back at it.
There you go. So you take over the library on Tuesdays with this. What has the community reception been? Have you had people who are like, libraries for books, Josh? Let me remind you of this, Mr. New Director.
That's what's been amazing. I did take it to our board. So before we do any big change, any big event or ongoing program like this, I want to make sure I get the buy-in. from the people that are helping make sure our library is the place that it is. I go to them, and all of them were like, yeah, this is fantastic. But one did have that question: what if it gets a little rowdy? And I said, when we do it, we do a weekly story time at 9:30 a.m. every Wednesday. And I'm like, we sing songs and we get a little loud. I let kids roam and explore, and I let them be kids. And that's for that age group. And we have no problem with that age group does that, because they're small and compact and adorable. But for the slightly older, I'm like, that's just as important. We still want them to be kids. We still want them to know that the library is here to serve them. And so I said, I think every Tuesday for a couple of hours, we can say, this is a place where not only are you welcome, but we celebrate you and we want to meet you where you're at. And so once I put it like that, they were like, yeah, that makes sense to us too. So I will have people now on a weekly basis. There's two groups of people. Some groups are like, yeah, kids, here they come. I'll see you tomorrow, that kind of thing. But they do it with a smile. They do it. They know what's going on. And then we've had other people that will show up, get the books, and I'll be like, I'm sorry if it's a little loud. And they will almost every time their response is, no, we think this is great. And it's been really fun having some of the parents come in early and sit down. Some of our patrons that come around all the time, they'll just show up and they'll just watch the tournament as it goes. Because I'm not kidding. I'm not a sports guy. Like, I don't watch the football and the basketball, but there is something about, you get a bunch of very happy and hyperactive competitive kids in a room, and you can't help but get excited when they start to do really well and start to take out somebody else. And it's just fun. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I believe it. And I love those stories of it just feels like community engagement, right? Like, maybe I don't even have a kid. I don't have a kid in this tournament. I can't play that thing, but like, just being around people who are excited is such a fun place to be. So we talked about your tournaments. Is there a draw for the kids? Like, what does the winner get? How have you structured that side of things?
The challenge was like, okay, so we set up this tournament. Are we just doing it for fun? Is it just like, hey, good job, you won this week? I brought it to our local friends of the library, and they said, hey, we will provide a snack and a drink for every participant that comes. And then we'll also give a $5 Casey's gift card for every winner every week.
That's awesome.
And so that was all summer long. And so at the end of the summer, we're like, okay, well, what do we do after this? I didn't even have to go out. People had just heard about this program. The community had heard about this program. And I didn't just get hit with one sponsor. I got hit with two sponsors. One that said, we want to cover you for the next 3 months. And another one was like, we want to get you after that. And so it's been amazing that they said, what do you need? We'll give you a snack, drink, and the prize gift card every single week. And so that's just been phenomenal.
That's fun. That's really fun. And food and drink, such a good way to get kids in the library. Do you have any sense that like that Tuesday time is enough? Do you ever fire the equipment up for kids that want to practice or hang out?
So when kids realize, it's great to see this happen, and it happens again and again, that kids came in and they were like, oh, I know I'm going to be pretty amazing at this game. And then they found someone that's a little better than they are. And so I've made it known since we got this that I'm like, Tuesday is the tournament time. And Tuesday is, you can be we're going to turn the sound up, and we're going to go, and you can cheer and clap and do what you want to. But if you want to come and have quiet practice time, we will extend that opportunity to you. So any kid knows they can come in after school and I will fire that up for them. And it's really cool to look over, because I always see where this is at. I can look over and they're just, playing away, trying to practice to beat, so they can beat that person that beat them the last time. And it's been fantastic how many times I've seen one kid playing and then another kid comes in and is just like, what are they doing? I'm like, oh, you know what they're doing. They're practicing. And they're like, well, I want in. And I'm like, well, then, yeah, let's do it.
Get in line.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. Have you ever thought about doing like intergenerational programming? Like, oh yeah, bring your dad and we'll fire up the Wii bowling or something.
Well,
Whatever the new version of Wii is. I'm sure Wii isn't a thing anymore, but
they just I loved Wii, and so Switch Sports is very much that. Now they've got the bowling, they've got the tennis, all that stuff. And I'm going to try here in the winter when, as you know, well, you might not. There's a lot of golfers in this area. We've got our own. Brooklyn's got its own little golf club, and people really like that. But people, for some reason, don't want to play golf in February. And so I am going to hold the first ever library open, where people of all ages, and I'm really, really going to, encourage our local golfers to show up. We're going to do a library open where it's on the Switch Sports Golf, where they'll be able to come out and compete with one another. And so we're trying to get the young and the old, everybody in between, to come and do this.
That will be very fun and such a good winter activity. So what you've mentioned a few times where it's been fun to see who won. What other sort of success stories or excitement can you share?
There's a couple good ones. One was this one patron that he's been coming since the beginning. Never missed a Tuesday, but he never won. He'd get, second, third, but he'd never get there. He won his first one a couple weeks ago, and his father got to be there to see it. And man, you would have thought this was the Super Bowl. The level of joy and excitement that it brought both the child and the parent, it was just awesome. Everybody else was like, that's awesome, way to go. They were happy for him because they knew he wanted it. And the thing I like about a lot of these games is some, like Smash Brothers, you can put in a lot of practice and you'll get there. You'll get really good. But then there are other games like Switch Sports Bowling that it's like, hey, everybody's got a shot every time. So we have levels of high degree of skill, and then several games that are like, nope, it's anybody's game every time.
Do the kids know what you're going to play before they turn up on Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, in fact, we let them choose week to week.
Fun.
But we only let the people who, so if you're there, if you hang out, come to the tournament, you get a say of what happens next tournament. And so they know what games we have. We have all the Switch Sports. There's a whole bunch of competitive games in there. We have the Ring Fit. We have Mario Kart. We have Smash Brothers. And I say, okay, so we're going to pick one of these things. And if we do the sports, I pick a unique sport in there that we're going to focus on. And then they all get a vote. Okay. And so they'll vote on which one we do. And that's how we pick from week to week.
You mentioned picking games with scholarship potential. Have you seen anyone applying for esports scholarships?
Well, interestingly enough, the kids that we're getting, and I'm really surprised about this, we're getting kids from 9 to 15 have been and almost, with a few exceptions, almost entirely boys. So we're getting 9 to 15 in there. So the only one that's really got a shot, and he works most of the time, so he can almost never come, is my own son, that he will be graduating. And just today, in fact, I got a call from an esports recruiter from a community college that wants to meet with him and extend a scholarship opportunity to him. So
Exciting.
I'm hoping to let this be a learning experience for me so that I can say to these future gamers that are right now coming into our library, hey, if you play your video games,
you too can go to college.
you might have a really good opportunity to get into the college of your choice, which is still, I don't understand it, but I like it. So
that's all that matters, right? Yeah, and so your comment there about having 9 to 15 kids per week, is that right? Is that kind of where you were at?
ages 9 to
Oh,
15.
ages 9 to 15.
Ages 9 to 15.
Mostly boys, and
Yeah.
about how many every week?
Through the summer, we were getting 15 to 20 kids every single Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then that continued. It dipped down to 10 to 12 in September. And then that thing that happens in school sometimes, these other sports and activities happened.
Like actual sports
Yeah,
instead of
actual sports.
esports?
It's like, guys, what are we doing? You know? But so as these other things happen, so now we're down to, we average 8 to 10 every Tuesday.
Still, I mean, most libraries of that size to have any amount of 9 to 15-year-old boys in the library
I'm
is
ecstatic. Yeah,
unusual,
I love
but
it.
very exciting. Do you tie any of this into collections or other programming? Or have you seen a tie to any of your other services you offer?
Well, we have said, like a lot of our programs that we do, we say it's very important that you have a library account which helps us track. And also it's a library account in good standing. Mm. And so we just ask that it's like, hey, and we'll always work with everybody. But we're just like, hey, just bring your stuff back so you can participate in all these things. If you have any outstanding stuff. And I think it was the second or third week as this was gaining popularity, we suddenly had books that I hadn't seen in months come back into our library because people wanted to play.
That's so fun. So what are your future plans? How do you hope to keep growing the program? You said you're taking a couple months off here.
Yeah, we've got a couple projects that I know are going to get in the way. We're kind of rearranging the library again. But we're not going to touch that area for them. That's going to be theirs. But so we're going to try to do that intergenerational golf thing. Boy, I really hope that goes well. We're going to do that, but we're going to stay low key until about March, and then we're going to come back and really drive it again for the summer and say, hey, we want to be the place that the young people can come during the summer to just, hang out the library. Let this be a safe place. Let this be a fun place, and let it be a place that you find a lot of books, a lot of great programs that make you keep wanting to come back for more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I understand that we're going to be able to share links to some videos of some tournaments, or maybe fun moments from tournaments in the description or in the Iowa Learns handout. So be on the lookout for those guys. Josh, what would you say to someone who maybe did have a grant money or had the opportunity to do something like this? How would you encourage them to get started?
I would do the research first, see what the demand is, and see if this is, something that would work in your community. For one thing, it was not even on my radar. Be willing to think outside the box. Be willing to stretch what, my understanding of, well, this is what the library does. We give out books and we read books to children, which are all great things, but it's also creating that communal space where people can get together. And so I would look at the need first. I would see how you can pull it off. We had to create a space, a safe space where we could do this, where the the plugins, all that stuff wasn't going to be an issue. Um, run it by your board, make sure they're good with it, and I do. This was one of those, if you build it, they will come kind of moments. I think you just look for these kind of opportunities and meet a need.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to say a big thank you to you for sharing this fun story with us. This is such an exciting, I don't know, I want to come on a Tuesday now, maybe in March when you get it fired back up and the
Come
weather
do our
clears up.
library open. Come play golf with us. That would be awesome.
Oh, that would be
Yes,
so fun. When
I'll
is
absolutely make
that?
sure you get an invite.
Okay, thanks, Josh. I would love that. But thanks for your time today, and thank you everyone for watching. Like I said, we'll drop link in the description of the YouTube video and into the Iowa Learns handout so you can check out some of those videos. If you've got a little bit of time, watch another kernel. And if you're doing something at your library that you want to tell us about, let us know. We want to get the word out there about your program or service as well. So thanks again, Josh. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.